So there are 31 lakh companies registered under the Indian government Companies Act. But do you really know how many of them are actually operational? Yes, the number is staggering. And only 21 lakh companies are operational in terms of their functions, in terms of their actions. That means 10 lakh companies are either non operative or non existent, which means which is 33% of the companies that are registered as LLP, as private limited or public limited have actually shut down. What could be the reasons behind it? Is it only because of the market conditions? Is it because of the government policies? Or is it something deeper? We went into the details and we found something really strange, something really untold. And that was the turning point of this entire study that we did. So, today, what we bring across to you is the real reasons why companies are shutting down, struggling in businesses, and most importantly, facing stiff competition. The competition is not out there, the competition is within. And that is what we are going to be sharing with you. So, how to really understand what is the reasons for the failures of over 33% of the companies, 10 lakh companies, and that you can implement in your business is the subject of our study this afternoon. So, welcome to this evening session at Billion Growth Circle. I'm Neeraj Kapoor, and I shall be sharing with you what you can really do to create a legacy of your own, transform your family business into a legacy brand, a scalable business, which is not just national, but even global. So let's begin. Building an iconic Indian family business requires a couple of things. Number one, you've got to have a family, right? And you got to have a business. Perfect. But the reality of the matter goes beyond that. The question is India became independent in 1947. But after 800 years of just becoming a slave, even though the country became independent, our mindsets did not really become independent. The reality of the matter is that most of the Indians enjoy and feel privileged to use foreign brands. You can see that in your life. How many foreign brands do you use? And that is exactly why Indian businesses have not become brands. Because even Indian businesses, the family businesses, have started and adopted the same legacy, the slavery mentality that they are not good and they are not as good as foreign brands. Now, can you imagine the impact of that? The impact is that most of the family businesses, even though they have some amazing, great quality, they still play small. Take the case of Magan Lal Chikki. Now, Magan Lal Chikki is a world famous chikki available only in Lonavala, not even in Bombay. What do you think has gone wrong? Yes, you guessed it right. The thinking, the mindset of the owners did not go beyond Lonavala. And the height is they did not even register a trademark, a copyright, and a patent for their product. The result, there are minimum 500 counters of Magan Lal original, claiming to be original chikki in Lonavala itself. Now, that is what happens when the mindset does not change. So, the reality of the matter is that India was once Sone ki chidiya. 25% of our GDP, 25% of the world's GDP came from India. But today it is down to less than 4%. The question is why? Because the survival mentality took up, and that survival mindset did not allow family businesses to really grow beyond what they can or they could have. Billion Growth Circle is actually an attempt to enable the mindset of all family business owners. Our mission is to enable 100,000 family businesses become international, global, national brands, scalable, and creating a legacy far beyond the owner, the founder. And when you do that, if you are listening to this, you will be realizing that the architecture of that is actually simple. So let me first understand with you how this entire architecture of exhaustion works. So quickly going to the slides, let me quickly share that with you. And this is how it looks. There are spots which succession the family businesses don't see. And what happens in that domain is children start to seek a future outside. So you may find that businesses, their children are happily working in US, Canada for the big fours, but not for their father's business. Also, a lot of control from the founder creates a big dependency, which means the founder is working harder than the employees. There is so much of isolation that creeps in that the founder is always sucked up in their business. And that creates a health crisis at home, a family crisis in the relationships, and more importantly, the identity trap. Now, how can you break that? The founder identity can easily be broken by creating the right kind of marketing, the new hires, and putting the right sales efforts. But that is the foundational shift. The foundational shift actually takes you to the next level where the founder becomes the visionary of the brand. And then the marketing and the sales actually skyrockets the business forward. If you really look at the commodity model and the brand model, you will find that there are several differences that come across. And these differences come across in a very, very meaningful manner. In a commodity model, it is always the price which is driving the business. So if your business is driven by price and if your customers are asking for a lower price, then you are probably stuck in a commodity trap. The solution, you can actually become a purpose driven and an experience led brand. In a commodity model, it is always hyper local. Just like I gave you the example of Lonavala, it is restricted in the catchment. But in the brand model, the brand can become a national or even a global recognized brand. In the commodity model, the business is always invisible. It is only the owner who is known among the right customers. But in the brand model, the owner may not be known personally, but what is known amongst the larger customer audience is the recognized brand logo. Similarly, in the commodity model, it is easily replaceable by the next cheaper supplier because it is always price based. So anybody who is giving a lower price will end up getting the customer. But in the brand model, the customer actually pays a premium and therefore it is not replaceable. It is actually irreplaceable. So when the customer starts to buy a product with the premium, that's where the miracle happens. Now, how do we actually create these transformation? Is a three-step process. As I promised to you, it's mindset, skill set, and tool set. The mindset being the core, it is a foundation that actually decides as to which direction you are going. Now, you can't change the destination overnight, but you can definitely change the direction of your business overnight. And that is exactly what we do when we meet up daily on a morning basis. Every day morning at 8:30, when you begin your day, half an hour of focused activity sets your mindset for creating something really wonderful in your business, in your health, in your life, in your relationships, in your family. And these are the things which make up your life, make up your wealth. Now, once the mindset starts to work on, the second part is the tool set, the skill set, and then the tool set. So that in the level two, there is a skill set and that specific frameworks for premium pricing, for delegation, for success that cannot turn without mindset. So when you have the right mindset and the right skill set, what do you do with that? You actually use the right tools to move the needle forward in your business. Now, in Billion Growth Circle specifically, there are 280 tools which you can use. That is the softwares, the apps, the relevant CRMs, the ERPs that you can use as a plug and play modules that gives you access to immediately some amazing time advantage, profit advantage, price advantage over your competition, over your customers. And these are the three things: the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set that can give you the leverage which your competition actually is looking forward for. So the question is, what can you do with these three tools is the step by step approach. How can you do that? How can you override your internal conversation, the little voice that is there? So start catching up with your little voice, the little voice that says, oh, it's so difficult, or maybe my business is different. You don't understand it. And this is not something that people can handle it. So catch that little voice. When you catch that little voice, what happens is you start to notice that your old mindset is actually holding you back. When you catch that, what can you do after that is you can cancel that. You can say thank you. You can say cancel. This is not something who I am. And your little voice is designed to actually make you say suffer or survive. You decide. Because your little voice is actually the one which is holding you back in your business. And if you are still thinking that your business is at an epitome, not be improved, then most probably it is the little voice that is speaking to you, right? Which is rooted in survival, which is rooted in striving, which is rooted in fear, insecurity. And all you can do is cancel it out. After that, what can you do now that you have canceled? Brilliant. You declare that you are the brand that the world is waiting for. Create a mantra, create a slogan. Like in army, they have a war cry, right? You can create, I am building a brand that outlasts me. I am the architect of my family's next century. For the next 100 years, if you are building a business, it requires a different mindset. And that is what you can create as a mantra in your life. And when you create that mantra in your life, what can happen? Your actions will change, your conversations will be different. And most importantly, the results that you start to get will be completely different. Like over here, the exponential valuation equation that I'm sharing with you, it actually is simple, but only those who are consistent can really achieve it. So the true valuation is the founder's independence and the brand positioning. Now let's get this. If you are busy 14 hours, 15 hours a day, your score becomes lower for the higher valuation of your business. If your brand positioning is missing or is low, your valuations become low. But if you really want to create an exponential valuation, what can you do? You can create independence in your business. That means you have more free time to think about growth, to talk about this conversation that we are having right now. And more importantly, working on the branding, the positioning of your business so that more and more people buy your product, even when you and me are having this conversation. Do you get the essence of your growth, your valuation, your your existence for the next 100 years depends on two and only two things. Number one is your mindset, which enables you to create independence for you, create more free time for you. And number two is your branding, the branding that enables you to get exponential results from your business. So the times that we are living in are actually going to have a K curve. The K curve means for people who are actually using this secret, they will grow exponentially. And for people who don't, they will go down. The question is, are you ready for exponential growth? And if your answer is yes, then let me share with you the bridging generational divide that is there for most of the family businesses, where the generation one, the builders, the people who have really built this entire thing from struggle to abundance, they value sacrifice, they value hard work, they value total operational control. At the same time, the scalers, the generation two, which are the product of abundance economy, like they have got everything on a platter. They haven't seen the struggles. They believe in scaling up. They believe in momentum. They believe in taking risks. They believe in systems, global vision. And those are the values that they espouse. Now, does that mean that each of these generations, because they think different, cancel each other? Well, the answer is yes and no. If both of them think that they cannot live together, then their frequencies get cancelled, and such businesses have a 100% guarantee of going down. But where they want to, like both the generation one and the generation two, believe in creating coexistence, creating harmony, that is where they actually benefit. At Billion Growth Circle, this is a succession framework, a family charter we believe can really change the transformation and activate the transformation of business, because the succession framework specifies the various details which create rift, insecurity, fear among the two generations. And this is the framework. When you implement, it creates the bridge. Now, that bridge, once you have that, what happens? It creates safety, security, commitment, conviction, action, and naturally growth. So the knowledge transfers, the authority, the identity, the growth becomes as a natural result of this, coming together. And this harmony is where the magic starts to happen. Now, let me share some of the proof of architecture, the magic that has happened, not in one cases, but dozens of cases. One of them is company, which is again in jewelry domain, a trading operating company in Hong Kong, realizing that their first generation thinking is different from the second generation thinking, they started to work using this succession architecture. The result, in a very short period of time, the family started to think alike. They started to align themselves. And the result of that was that they started to create better margins, from 2% margins to 5% margins to 10% margins, and now 25 to 15% margins. And not just that, with the same amount of capital, they could increase their business by 10x. How was that possible? Because they actually implemented certain specific action plan which are part of the succession net architecture. Let me give you one of them over here. They were giving 10 months credit to their customers. They stopped giving 10 months credit and made it cash on carry. And the moment they made cash on carry, their capital started to rotate faster. The shift is today, they are moving 10 times the speed than before. They are not a trading company anymore. They are a jewelry company, right? Let me share another one with you, which is Govardhan Eco Village, a resort, 120 acres of green farmland near Mumbai, not known even to Mumbaiites, forget about Maharashtra or India, became the global hot seat, the global icon, not just in India, but in entire Asia, when we worked together and then got the gold award from UNWTO recognition at Madrid, Greece. The reality of the matter is, it is not the product which matters, it is the packaging of that which matters. So if you have a right product, all that we require is the right branding, the right positioning, the right packaging, and most importantly, the harmonized effort. So Earlier, the reality was that there were have a learning occupancy of 13%. Today, they are running an occupancy of 98% with 6 months waiting list. Now, there is a reason why that happens. Let me share that with you in another case. It is a service, startup, and being there for about 15 years in the market, and exhausted entrepreneurs manually doing the valuation services, and the business was just 4 or 5 crores. When we started to work on the succession framework, the business actually started to grow exponentially. Today, it has already crossed NCR on an automated mode with less number of manpower delivering 5 times the productivity. And that is what is possible by creating the right frameworks in your business. Now, let me also give you an example of a listed company. Now, this listed company was almost going to be sick because the margins that they were making, the kind of turnover that was happening, was not very enticing. The result, the market cap was about 60-80 crores, with 75% of, or close to 75% of the equity held by founders. The founder were the controllers, the operators, the owners, and the management all in one. When the succession framework, when we started to work on the company, we realized those areas where they can really do well, and we position them around the national environmental purpose because it's a recycling, electronic recycling company. The result of that is the outcome became they actually moved to a market cap of 2,500 crores. Not only that, our dear Prime Minister Narendra Modi, even endorsed the brand for the kind of work that they've been doing for over 2 decades. Now, let me tell you, there was nothing that we changed in the product. What we worked on was the subtle aspects, which are mostly ignored by the companies. And this is the reality where the operators work and they get exhausted, but a legacy brand owner work and he and she can actually lead a system driven business independently. In an operator domain, it always competes, like we talked about, pricing, leaving thin margins, and actually giving away your profits, gifting away to your customers. But in legacy domain, you start to command premium pricing. Therefore, the customers seek out the brand first. In the operator reality, the business survival is 100% dependent on the founder. But in a legacy brand business, the business and operates profitably during founder's absence. So the ownership and the management are actually, taken up separately. In a operator driven business, the reality is the health signals are ignored. The family disconnects is like normalized. The stress, the blood pressure, the diabetes, everything is normalized. But in the legacy brand domain, the energy is the most important aspect. Every person in the domain, whether it is the owner, the founder, the workers, the management, the employees, everybody's health, the energy is the focus. Therefore, such businesses do well. A couple of more points. In operators' reality, it is the local, invisible, and easily replaceable business. Whereas in the legacy brand domain, it's a national presence, a globally recognized entity comes across very strongly. And when you do that, you will find that instead of surviving from month to month, you can actually build a dynasty that outlasts you. And this is what is the intent of creating a legacy brand, because when you start to do that, believe you me, you will not only help yourself, your health, family, your community, but you will help the country to become the next Vishwaguru. In the Amrit Kal, the Viksit Bharat that we are talking about, it's not just about make in India, it's about selling out there in the world. So let me quickly give you the ecosystem. How does that work? The billion growth circle ecosystem comprises of three layers, the three steps forward. The foundation layer, which is the silver level, the foundation, where we don't just meet once in a week, but we meet every day. Yes, you heard it right. It's every day morning for 30 minutes, where you set your goals for the day, action plan for the day, and then you commit to the accomplishment of that and move the needle forward. That's the silver, the foundation level, right? This is exactly where you start to get certain specific immediate benefits when you become a part of the billion growth circle. The next is the acceleration domain, the gold level, where all the silver assets, along with structured brand transformation programs, the group strategy sessions, the priority community positioning, everything starts to invoke you to build a brand which not only commands a premium but also allows you to have a free time. So it is profit plus freedom, both over here in gold. Now, the third, and that's like the premium. It's currently, closed right now for public. But let me give you a quick example of what happens in the diamond system. It is completely a private ecosystem where one-to-one strategy sessions with me happens, where we exactly work on the dynamics, customization of what is required in your business to make it scale up, not 10%, but 10x in a very short time. The result of that is that you start to become free, your health becomes better, your financial health of the business becomes better. And not only that, you start to enable yourself and your business towards creating a generational legacy business. So let me quickly give you a perspective of the code of honor, because not everybody can get in. The whole context is there are four pieces to this code of honor, and it is like written in stone, like you can see it on the screen. Number one is to show up. If you are ready to show up every day morning, this is for you. If you are not ready to show up, you cannot join Billion Growth Circle. You cannot get in. Not for love, not for money. It requires consistent efforts, right? Number one is the daily practice is mandatory. 8:30 IST in the morning, you got to show up 30 minutes, take actions, even when it is inconvenient, right? Number two, share honesty. We value honesty, we value vulnerability. And when you are vulnerable, that's the time you actually benefit the most. So the isolation trap dies over here, because not just you, everybody out there is sharing honesty. So you are not learning from one person, you are learning from a community of teachers, right? Number three is you are celebrating with the group. So when one member secures a premium, business, you actually feel happy and builds the system. The entire community comes together to celebrate that, right? And number four is persevere. The consistency, the perseverance that shows that no matter what, you're not going to stop until unless you get exponential growth, so that your growth is not linear but exponential. And when these four code of honors are implemented, that's the time when miracles start to show up. So if you are ready to own, like how many of you really resonate with this code of honor, right? And if you resonate with this code of honor, this is your opportunity to actually move out from the chaos and get into the designed path. The designed path where there are systems, where there are approaches which are laid out specifically for your business. And when you actually do that, you actually become a part of reviving the golden eagle, the golden bird, getting the lion back in action. Why? Because you do not actually just happen to be out here for a reason, but you actually make sure that you are someone who is taking the economy forward, your business forward. So, with this, I would like to encourage you to ask questions because at this point of time, we encourage people to make sure that you are not just alone in your journey. So, if you have any questions, just put it on the chat and I would be happy to answer them.